Been longing for unconditional love and can't find it, and you're looking to feel it, you wonder if it's even a real thing, you've come to the right place. I'm going to give you the instructions right here, right now, so that you can be feeling unconditional love by the end of the hour, or maybe the end of the video, if you're attentive and we speak the same language. Unconditional love is all around us. It's everywhere. It's inside you, below all the other stuff. It's at the core of who you are. And you yourself mask it. And that's really good news, because if we're blaming the moon phase or the weather or brain fog, or you blame the devil, whatever you blame for not feeling unconditional love, right? If that's outside of you, guess what? You're never going to find unconditional love, because you're going to need that outside thing to change. And you can't change outside things. But internally, you can shift a lot. And this is really good news, because it turns out that we ourselves are the ones that mask the unconditional love that's all around us, right? There's a reason we don't see it. It's our own fault. It's our own responsibility. So I'm going to give you the tools so you can respond with your abilities and discontinue masking the unconditional love that you're looking for. And it's simple. It's not always easy, but it is simple. And if you have questions, you can come to my school, and you can log in as a visitor. It's free, and ask questions. I'd love to help you with this, because when we feel unconditional love, the whole world opens up and life just gets better. And I'd love for you to have this. Here's the thing. It's our judgments that prevent us from feeling unconditional love. That's it. It's our judgments. And why do we judge? Well, there's lots of reasons we judge, mainly because we filter things through our mind, measuring and comparing. We measure and compare the things we see to the things we know, and then we evaluate and figure out which one's better. Inevitably, one side is less than the other, right? That's why we're measuring, to find out which one's better or which one's less than. And that's it. That's all you got to do, is discontinue the measuring and comparing. When you see somebody with a funny haircut, laugh. That's okay. But don't measure and compare them and think that their haircut isn't good enough, or that their haircut is less good than yours. That's the judgment. It's the measuring and comparing. And when we discontinue measuring and comparing, when you can go through town and see people that aren't like you, people maybe you don't understand, or maybe they're less socioeconomic status than you, right? They're homeless or housing deficient. Pretty easy to judge that person as, well, they didn't make the good choices that I made in life. Look, I have a house and a car. They don't. That means I'm good and they're bad. Or I'm good enough and they're not good enough. That is the issue. Stop it. It's the measuring and comparing that leads to judgments, that creates a mask over the unconditional love that's literally everywhere. And what happens when you stop measuring and comparing and you discontinue your judging? What happens is that you just start feeling unconditional love, because it's literally the core of what's here. It's what gives, that's the energy that runs this whole place. It's literally the fuel in the great universal engine. Magical things happen when you tune into it and feel it and align yourself with it. So once you recognize that this place of unconditional love is where you truly belong and who you truly are, well, then suddenly, your empathy kicks up. And you might look at somebody across the street or on the other side of the coffee shop or whatever, and suddenly you'll just feel exactly what they're going through. Or you'll feel exactly what they need. You'll feel their lack in some way. And you'll be able to help them. you might just feel in your body that they feel friendless. And so you just sit down next to them and say, hey, you want a friend? And if you're in a space of unconditional love, people actually are receptive, because when people are unconditionally loving, we can feel it. And the more tuned into unconditional love you are yourself personally, then the more you'll feel it in others. But I tell you, what happens is you'll be walking around town just feeling love for everything, and someone else who's also in the same space is going to feel it, and they're going to look at you, and they're going to point and give you a thumbs up, or give you a little, little heart emoji thing. It happens a lot. There's lots of people in this world who've discovered how to feel unconditional love, and the fact is, they probably just don't know how to teach it. Now, if you've got troubles with this, then you probably will, because the thing is, this measuring, comparing, it's really, the main activity of the mind. And so if you've been doing meditation practice, or if you've done your Reiki levels, or, if you're into breath work, or you're into any kind of spiritual practice at all, you might be able to sit still and let those thoughts, right, the measuring, comparing, just, let that go and just put your attention on what's behind it. When you do, you'll start feeling in your body the love. And it's unusual at first, and when you rest in it, it becomes much more familiar. And it's almost like, if you're separated from your parents at birth, and you spent your whole life looking for your mom, and then one day you meet somebody and they feel comfortable, but you don't know why, and they give you a hug, and then slowly you start feeling it, and maybe over time, as the hug goes on, you suddenly recognize, oh, this is my mom. And there's this feeling of sudden recognition, or a feeling of, my search is over. When you're in that place, it's pretty hard to pop out of it. You will. If you judge people, or if you start measuring and comparing again, you'll stop feeling that unconditional love. However, in my experience, when people find that place where they finally feel home, you don't want to leave. Why? There's no reason to. And anyway, that is the path. It is simple. It is simple. And it's a path you can do. It does not require an outside teacher, and doesn't require anything except you being mindful, noticing what your mind is doing, and not letting yourself measure and compare, especially people. When you stop measuring and comparing, you also stop judging, and then you'll naturally just feel this unconditional love. So the really neat thing is that this measuring and comparing that prevents us from feeling unconditional love, it's also what prevents us from feeling unity consciousness. So when you start feeling unconditional love, and you start dropping more and more conditions, because unconditional love truly is unconditional. It's not conditional upon it coming from that person. It's not even conditional upon you feeling it. There's no conditions on unconditional love. And as you spot subtle conditions that you have on it, and you let those go, it expands, expands, expands. It's not a fantasy. Unconditional love is the reality of where we're at. The fantasy comes from all of the measuring and comparing. And if you do the math, if you think, if you're looking for unity consciousness, then you already know there's only one of us. There can only be, one spirit moving through everything. And I get the experience isn't that, but mathematically, that is what's going on. And just imagine, when we measure and compare, we create others. And when we create others, there's a lack of unity. So if you've got a teacher who's telling you that teacher over there is bad, don't go there, or this over here isn't good enough, or that what you're doing isn't good enough, and that you've got to do this or pay them money or whatever in order to get better, that's incorrect. It's incorrect. You do not have to do anything. other than discontinuing your measuring and comparing. If you discontinue measuring and comparing, there's nothing to judge. Like you just naturally stop judging. That's the key. That's the key. And okay, we're almost at the end of the video. So have you dropped your judgments yet? Are you measuring and comparing? You're measuring and comparing me, to some other teacher you met, or you're measuring and comparing your experience to the experience I'm talking about. If you have a hard time measuring and comparing, and if you get stuck in the not enough thing while you're, looking for unconditional love or looking for unity consciousness, come to my school, because that is what I've spent my life looking to unravel, and I have unraveled. I figured out where that comes from, and well, that it's a lie. Once you teach your body the truth and learn the truth, your body will stop running this lie of that you're not enough, or that's not enough, or the thing you're learning isn't enough, whatever it is. That filter is a really good one to let go of, because when you stop thinking that some things are better than others or some things are less than others, when you stop looking at the world in that way, which is duality, when you stop looking in that way, then you can see the truth of what's really going on. And this path is not a difficult path. Like I said, it's simple. And what happens when you discontinue measuring and comparing is that you naturally discover unity consciousness. There's no other place to fall or rise. And you naturally fall into unconditional love or rise into it. There's no other place to be. That is the core of the universe. It's the core of what's really going on here. All right, I'd love to see you on campus. And if this has helped you in any way, please post in the comments. If you have a question, you can put them in the comments, or like I said, come to my school and ask there. It is a social network with activity feeds, and so, if you ask questions, we like to answer them. And I'd love to find out that you've finally found the unconditional love you've been looking for. That would be amazing. So subscribe here if you'd like. Come to my school. It's free to be a visitor. Jump in and say hi and see what's going on. And meanwhile, just continue measuring and comparing. Let go of your judgments, and unconditional love will reveal itself. It's here. Stop putting conditions on it, and it just appears. Simple.